Hey, welcome to Flow with Faith. I've put together a little flow that'll help gain some strength in your shoulders and core to get ready to do any headstands, getting yourselves used to being in an inversion. This little flow I've put together will be perfect to practice. So let's begin in a wide leg child's pose, bringing the knees to the outside of the mat. Your big toes touch, and then sink your hips all the way back to your heels. Walking the fingertips forward so you can melt the forehead on the ground. And just breathing here. Feeling the connection of your forehead to the mat. Taking this time to ground yourself to the present moment. To ground yourself where you are. Pressing your palms into the mat and slowly bringing yourself forward up onto your hands and knees, and then sliding your feet back so you can come to lying on the belly for a moment, keeping your palms planted underneath your shoulders. You'll peel your chest up to cobra so the tops of your feet are pressed into the mat behind you, and you're just lifting the chest, slight back bend here, keeping the neck neutral. Roll the shoulders back and lower down to the ground. We'll lift up 2 more times. Press the hands into the ground, peel the chest up, and lower down. Lift the chest. Alright, melt back down to the ground. Tucking the toes here and pushing yourself up through tabletop position. Beginning with some cat and cow movements. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest. And on the exhale, round the spine, push the floor away from you. Shoulders are pushed out. And continue flowing on the inhales, lifting the chest, dropping the belly. And at your own pace, exhale to round the spine. And continue moving through this for 2 more breaths. And then finding a neutral tabletop position. So here, tucking the toes and lifting the knees just a couple inches off the ground. This is floating table. Activating the core, activating the shoulders. Hold for 2 breaths. And then send your hips all the way up to downward facing dog. You can walk out the dog, bending one knee at a time. Lifting the tailbone up to the sky. Your palms are pressing firmly into the mat, connecting all the fingers. Alright, finding stillness with the dog. We'll flow between downward dog and high plank, so bending generously with the knees, and then straighten the legs, lifting the tailbone, and rolling yourself forward to a high plank. And then pushing all the way back to your downward facing dog, bending through the knees, straighten the legs, lifting the tailbone, and roll yourself forward. And again, flowing between these two movements at your own pace. Finding 2 more flows. Wherever you are, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Lowering back down to your knees to find tabletop position again. So keeping the hips where they are, the hips are above your knees, walking the hands forward. We're going to bring the chest down to the ground. So keeping this line here, so you're not moving the hips too forward or too far back. They're stacked, your hips are stacked over your knees, and all that's moving is the upper body. Sinking the chest down to the mat. Slight back bend to open up the shoulders. And finding 2 deep breaths here. When you're ready, pushing your palms into the mat so you can walk yourself back to tabletop position. We'll lower down onto the forearms to come into dolphin pose. So setting up, your elbows are just underneath the shoulders, not spread too wide or too narrow. Then plant the palms firmly on the ground in front. And if that's not accessible for you, you can plant both palms together and squeeze them together. So it's another alternative for a stable base. So wherever you are, tucking the toes, and we'll send the hips up into the sky just like in downward dog. And bending one knee at a time, you can walk out the dolphin to start. Pushing through the shoulders, so not letting yourself sink down, actively pushing out the shoulder blades. Finding stillness in the dolphin pose. From here, you'll shift the weight forward, coming over top of your elbows, and then all the way back to dolphin. Just waking up the shoulders here again, moving between these 2 positions, so bringing the weight forward and then pushing yourself back. All right. Bringing the knees together and down to the mat. Untucking the toes, we'll send our hips back to closed-legged child's pose. Resting the arms down alongside the body and allowing the shoulders to fall towards the ground. We'll rest here for 3 breaths. When you're ready, planting the palms on the ground so you can push yourself back up to a seated position. Walking forward to tabletop again, tucking the toes, and send the hips all the way up to downward facing dog. Inhale the right foot up towards the sky, keeping the hips squared towards the ground. Exhale, squeeze your knee to chest, hold it here. Inhale, send the foot back to 3-leg dog. And exhale, knee to chest and hold. Inhale, send it back. 3-leg dog. And move through this at your own pace 2 more times. Exhale, squeeze your knee to chest. Inhale, 3-legged dog. And we'll meet back in 3-legged dog. Opening the hips, lowering the toes to the ground and the knee points upwards. And then placing the foot back down to downward dog. Coming to the other side, inhale the left foot up into the sky. Hips are squared towards the ground. Exhale, squeeze your knee to chest. And hold. Inhale, send it back to three-legged dog. Exhale, squeeze your knee to chest. Inhale, three-legged dog, and do this 2 more times at your own pace. Moving with your breath. And we'll meet back in three-legged dog. Opening the hips, dropping the toes towards the ground and the knee points upwards. And then place your foot back down to downward dog. Inhale, shifting the weight to a high plank. And on the exhale, lowering down through low plank, keeping the elbows tucked in towards your body. And coming all the way down to the belly. Roll the shoulders back. Peel the chest off the ground, the cobra. And exhale, lower all the way down to the mat, planting the forehead on the ground. Tucking the toes behind you, your palms are planted underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up to tabletop position. Finding dolphin pose again, coming back down onto the forearms, setting yourself up again. Tucking the toes and lifting the hips up into dolphin. All right, from here we'll go into a one-leg dolphin. Inhale, lift the right foot up into the sky, keeping the hips squared. Using the glutes to lift your leg any higher here. Pushing through the shoulders, not collapsing down. And lower the leg back down. Planting it on the ground, we'll inhale, lift the left leg up into the sky. Squeezing the glutes to lift the leg any higher. And slowly lowering it back on the ground. We'll do this one more time on each side. So inhale, the right leg comes up to the sky. And lower back down to the ground. And on the other side, lift the toes. And lower down to the ground. So bringing the knees back down to the mat into a closed leg child's pose. Relaxing the forehead down to the mat. Resting here for 2 breaths. So planting the palms underneath the shoulders so you can push yourself up to sitting. So if you'd like to give a headstand a try, we'll move into that from here. So coming down onto the forearms, setting up to the same position you were in dolphin pose, so your elbows not too spread apart, just underneath your shoulders. And here we'll clasp the fingertips together and plant that on the mat. So that is where the back of your head will be held. So keeping the toes tucked right here, bringing the back of your head into that space in your fingertips. The top of your head is lightly on the ground, and you're not pushing weight into the top of your head. You don't want to feel any crunching in your neck. So this is your shoulders and your hand placement that is holding your base. The top of your head is just a little balance point, but it doesn't take too much pressure. So you're actively squeezing the elbows together. You're squeezing your shoulder blades, not letting them sink in like you practiced. All right, keeping the toes tucked here and lifting the hips. Slowly walking the feet up towards yourself. Bending one knee at a time and bringing it up to your chest. So tucking one knee, squeezing it into your chest, feeling the weight shift from your lower body to your upper body. Squeezing the shoulders. Just playing around with this movement. Getting used to feeling your body like this. And getting used to feeling your hips over top of your head. To lift up into a headstand, you can tuck one knee into your chest and kind of kick both knees up and balance there. And just hold this tuck. If you feel like you have your balance here, try straightening one leg up into the sky at a time, squeezing the glutes. Your core is active. Shoulders are engaged and pushing away from the ground. Finding any leg variation that you can find a good balance in. So if both knees are still tucked, you can lower down by planting your feet on the ground, perhaps one at a time, or just bouncing back down. Coming out of this super slowly, sinking back into a closed leg child's pose, bringing the forehead to the ground and dropping the shoulders down to the ground. And noticing how that felt in your neck, in your shoulders. If you feel any crunching or any pain, it's really good to work on more shoulder strengthening exercises like in this class. All right, let's try that again. So bringing the palms underneath the shoulders, you can push yourself up to sitting. All right, shifting forward, we'll plant the forearms on the ground again, clasping the fingers. Bringing the back of your head into your clasped fingers, tucking the toes and lifting the hips. And if you brought one knee into your chest last time, try bringing the other knee into your chest first, and squeezing it towards your body. And with the foot that's planted on the ground, kind of bouncing up with your toes, getting a little momentum, but lots of control, so you can shift your weight to your headstand. You can try straightening both legs at the same time, keeping your feet together. Glutes are squeezed. This helps with balance. Your core is engaged. Dropping your foot back down. Clasping your hands behind you at the base of your spine and rolling the shoulders back. Still in your child's pose, but adding a shoulder stretch the opposite way here. Squeezing your shoulders together, lifting the hands into the sky. Breathing here for 3 deep breaths. And lowering your hands down alongside your body again. And resting here for as long as you need. But when you are ready to come out, planting the palms underneath your shoulders and pushing yourself back up. We'll take one final pose here. So coming down to your belly. So we're going to lie on top of our arms. So your palms will be planted on the mat and your pinky fingers will come to touch, you'll shift your hips and slide your hands underneath your body. So one at a time, scooting your hands underneath your body until your pinkies touch. And then just allowing your weight to do the stretching here. Stretching through the shoulders. We'll find 5 deep breaths on this side. And then switching so your other cheek is planted on the ground, rotating the neck direction. And breathing here. Allowing the mat to support your body. Allowing yourself to melt down. When you're ready, releasing your arms, rolling off of them so you can take them out from underneath your body.